Joining us now is the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jamie Harrison. Chairman, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on a successful convention last week. We want to get into fundraising and those comments on abortion as well, but I want to start by this news over the weekend with Donald Trump floating the idea that he may not have a debate with Vice President Harris at all because he doesn't like ABC News and their politics, says that they're biased. How much of a disappointment would that be to the Harris campaign if the vice president does not get a chance to debate Donald Trump on television before the American people for this election?
Well, I think it's a huge disappointment for the American people because they want to see these two folks on the debate stage talking about the issues that are important to the American people. You know, we made clear in our convention that this is about our fundamental freedoms. All those things are on the ballot. We know what Donald Trump's Project 2025 is all about really going after those freedoms and the rights and the basic level of infrastructure we have to protect the most vulnerable in our society. There's a full frontal attack coming from the other side. And so those things need to be discussed. Those things need to be debated. And Donald Trump needs to talk about his actual agenda. It's scared to see that this former president is so scared to get on the debate stage. But I guess if I had his positions, I'd be scared to let the American people know what they worry as well.
So, Chairman Harrison, there was a bit of a tightrope the Democrats had to walk last week during the convention, saying a fond farewell, if you will, to President Biden at the top of the ticket and then pivoting to making this very clear it's all about Vice President Harris. A success by the numbers, by the ratings, by the fundraising. But talk to us about how you plan to keep that momentum going. We know the Vice President and her running mate are about to embark on a bus tour of Georgia, a state very much back in play. What else will you be doing?
Well, you know, we have, over the course of the last few weeks, since the Vice President has been the nominee, we have seen an unprecedented number of volunteers. And this is the great thing about that. You know, volunteers are great if you have the infrastructure in order to utilize them. And for 3.5 years, we've been building just that. We have hundreds of campaign offices in our battleground states, over thousands of staffers. So we are equipped to take all of this new energy that's coming into this campaign and utilize it in terms of voter registration efforts, in terms of voter education initiatives, in terms of voter protection programs. Unlike the Republican Party, we didn't destroy our grassroots and base operations. We built on that. The same battleground states we had in the midterms in which we beat back the red waves are the same states in which we still kept some of those staff and have been building on that for the last few years. And so I feel really, really comfortable. You're going to see a lot of grassroots energy, probably more than we've seen since the Obama 2008 campaign. And you've seen the energy. You saw it there at the convention. You saw where the vice president was able to pack a house in Chicago and to pack the same house that Donald Trump was in for the RNC in Milwaukee. That is the type of energy that we have on the ground, and it's unprecedented. And that's part of the reason why Donald Trump is scared to get on that debate stage with Kamala Harris.
Chairman Harrison, as we look at the fact that Donald Trump is now teasing that he may not show up for the debate, one question I have is, do you think the vice president ought to show up anyway and expose that he is afraid to vote her, to debate her, and that she's willing to show up and stand up? And in many ways, I think he cannot find a way to deal with this prosecutor. He's probably humiliated that the convention did much better in the ratings than his convention did. And he's one of these that is very much into looking at ratings. Her speech got a much larger ratings than his did at the Republican convention. And it was a flawless convention. One of the things that I've noted is that you as chairman and Mignon Moore, who helped put it together, have not gotten the credit you should have gotten for a flawless convention. I was there the whole convention. You certainly would have got the blame if the riots and other things that people predicted had happened.
Well, on that last note, Rev, you know, Mignon and I were just doing our black jobs. You know, we were just getting it done. But much credit goes to Mignon Moore, to Alex Hornbrook, Stephanie Cutter, and the convention. They did a wonderful job, and I'm really, really pleased by how it went off. You know, when you look at it, you know, Kamala Harris has been getting bigger crowds than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has been getting more volunteers than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has been getting better ratings than Donald Trump, so raised more money than Donald Trump, and we are going to win this race. And he's scared about that. He's scared, you know, to be beaten by this woman, this black woman who is so capable and so intelligent, and is probably the most equipped person to be president of the United States, walking on the face of this earth. And so we're going to continue to press the case. We're going to continue to run as if we're down. We're going to continue to go all around this country, making sure that our message of freedom and joy and hope is resonant, but also that, you know, we are committed to making America great for all of America's people. And we know that America's greatness isn't in her past, but it's in her future. And so, Rev, that's the commitment that you will see from this campaign. We're not going to let up. And I can understand why Donald Trump would be afraid. If you saw those type of numbers and you saw those type of crowds, I'd be afraid too. But this, you know, the folks in this country are hungry for positivity. They're hungry for hope and joy, not for fear and bigotry and hatred and division. And that's what they're getting from the other side.
Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jamie Harrison, thank you, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you all. Good morning.